we're going to be recording this, and they told me only 2 people reserved. Should I quit and not do it? I said, oh, wait a minute. I said, you have no idea what I went through in order to put this together, especially PowerPoint. But before I start, I'll tell you a little bit about myself. When you hear these weird comments that I'll make and where could they possibly come from, I grew up in Warwick, Rhode Island, and in a very mixed neighborhood. About 1940 neighborhood, if you can imagine. And my house was a very modest one, surrounded by woods and a local ballpark. And I would go out into the woods and I would dig, this is when I'm 12 years old, go out and I would dig up trees and I would bring them home and plant them. And then I would plumb them to make sure they were straight. And then I would, why, I don't know, but I would squint. And there must be something in squinting that shows up contrast or what have you, but I would do that. Then my mother would come out and she would squint, and then she would bowl over laughing. She couldn't possibly stop. She stopped, and of course that's, well, anyway, across the street lived a German immigrant who worked in the big Rhode Island jewelry industry. And he made memorial plates, if you can imagine the White House on a plate. He designed. And he saw me working in the yard, and he said, well, would you like to work for me? And I said, well, sure. Because I mean, certainly could use the money and the work, given the circumstances that we live under. And he was very, very meticulous, and he would smoke in his black checkered wool smoke. And I remember one time I came in very early. I may have frightened him. I don't know. But anyway, I failed to say good morning, and he turned around and he growled, "Good morning." Well, you can imagine at my age that was a lesson well learned. So of course that never happened again. Then subsequently I decided to go to the University of Rhode Island in horticulture, and that I did. It was wonderful. And one day in the library I bumped into a magazine called Landscape Architecture. I was absolutely knocked over. And so there was a early modest course in landscape design at Rhode Island, and I took that course. But then I decided, oh, I'm going to do something. I'm going to continue this. So I went to the University of Massachusetts, did some postgraduate work in landscape, and I went in the Army for a short time after that. And then I came to Albany and worked in a private planning firm doing 401 plans for small communities, basically zoning, circulation. For example, one of the things they escaped me. The throughway entrance down here, the newest one, well, we proselytized that and designed it and did those kinds of things.
Exit, are you referring to exit 3?
On
the Northway? Or?
No, on the throughway.
Oh, on the
It's
throughway.
Cooksaki.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And then I went to work for the state of New York in land management for the mental health department. And then we decided, certain circumstances occurred in our lives, and we decided that we would start a nursery, which was something near and dear to our hearts. And we did. So for 40 years we were in the nursery business, landscape art, and design and consulting and what have you. So that's where my little thing, so you'll wonder where these comments come from, and that's my history. This is my flower show at the Massachusetts Horticultural Society, Spring New England Flower Show. I won't tell you how old I was, but I was young. And I forced these plants in the greenhouse.
You
and
were
then
in college, you were
and
at
I
URI.
shipped them to Massachusetts and I put it together. I'm going to be talking about two big subjects. The subdivision and front lawn, and the garden for people, which is something I'm sure you have never heard about. This is Frederick Law Olmsted's plan for Riverside in
Illinois,
Illinois.
I've been there.
Oh, well anyway, Olmsted was a straight, just an unbelievable biography. He had at 17 a poison sumac attack, and it blinded him, near blinded him, and he could therefore not go to college. And I suspect that he burned sumac, and that's how it became such a thing. Anyway, he has done more to change the man-made landscape than anyone ever, including Roosevelt, Theodore Roosevelt. The man-made landscape, he began it all. And this is Riverside, and he did the U.S. Capitol, he did graveyards, he did all kinds of projects. Some people accused him of doing Washington Park. He was not involved with our Washington Park. He traveled a lot with his father, both of them very interested in nature. Niagara Falls, the White Mountains, the South. He wrote about everything, including about slavery. He came up with this idea about 1869? Yes, right there. He went to England. He was absolutely fascinated with the English village. So he came back, and then he was fascinated to love the New England village, you know, with the white houses and the little setback from the road and the little porch and whatever. So he came up with this idea, which incidentally, Salem Hills here is one of the first planned unit developments in the United States. And here is Olmsted's idea. Curved roads, definitely anti-city, anti-tenement, anti-old, anti-crowds. His whole idea was this democratic connection of these people living in this bucolic world. Street trees, curved roads. New Salem is a little bit different in that it has lots of cul-de-sacs. Saved public space. Here you see the green and the forest and what have you, and we still have the same England. Mandates. This is what he carried across the United States. Front lawns, setbacks, 2 street trees, foundation planting, no gardens. Remember, before this, you had this tiny little front yard, like if you can imagine, Gilderland Center. No garage. Wasteful to have a big front yard because everything you did was in the backyard. You washed, you collected firewood, the horse, you had your little craft shop, who knows what you did back there, and that was the workspace. So this was definite 40-foot setback. And it was never finished. They had a cholera outbreak and it never finished. So some clever soul, as always happens, 1 acre lots were then made into half-acre lots. So its status today, I don't know. But this book, Olmsted, pictorial biography of his, just absolutely wonderful. Wonderful. And he's such a fascinating person. His brother went to Yale and graduated from Yale, and he was, what do you call it? He hung out with him, his brother and all his friends, for years, and carried that relationship with people throughout his life. Okay. This is, I don't know what we would call this. This would be the early beneficence of a life not in the suburbs, but on the periphery. Think Washington, think Manning Boulevard. Street trees, sidewalk. We don't see a garage there, do we? I suspect some of those Manning lots go back, way back, 200, 300 feet. Wouldn't be all surprised if you parked in the backyard. Next slide. Ah, there it is. This, of course, is the subdivision. This is not Olmsted, but all of his ideas in it. This is a Canadian town, the name escapes me, but for the older people, notice the double, the concrete double, I think that's where, what do we call it, driveway came from. In other words, on the driveway. The round swimming pool. Now here, very peculiar, trees along driveways, separating. Back, everything the same. Notice the number of cars. Very few cars. I'll get to this later. Okay, next slide. If you
Sorry.
oh, goodness gracious, don't give away what's coming up. Jeez. If you spend the week looking at front yards, you will see everything. No yard, fence, dying juniper hedge, no limit, but you will most often see the magnificent lawn. The Downton Abbey, whatever one calls it, my house. So, here are a couple of...
Sorry about these.
She put it together. But here, see, think about it. This week, spend it looking at people's houses. You don't usually look at people's houses because there's nothing to look at. There's not a house worth a second look. I'll get to it. But here's a house. Can you imagine it? Here's the bank. The road's down here. And here, well, you see the number of concrete things. And here is a driveway. Can you imagine? A turnaround driveway in front of the house. Can you believe it? I keep seeing comedy in the landscape. There's something about, you keep thinking, what are the human beings thinking when they came to this solution? Here is the porch. I think that's very important because that's the one thing that distinguishes a house. And they're still being built, more than decks. But here's the house, there's the porch, and there's a hedge. There's what do we call it? Privet hedge. Now, the bank is not manageable. You cannot cut it with a lawnmower without risking life. So it's covered with daylilies. From that porch, you cannot see the street. You can, the noise from you look over and trees. And there's your porch. I think, next slide. I think it's
Altamont Road. Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Now, you're not supposed to ask that because I tried to take pictures that no one would recognize.
I know this one too.
Now, now here is a house. It's built on a terminal moraine. It's on Picard Road.
Yep.
I have permission to use this. I think it's absolutely wonderful. It's built in 1804, probably slave quarters, and maybe 25 feet from the road. In back, you can see the back, right? It's all trees, but nothing growing on the ground because it's just gravel and moss. And I talked to him about this, and I can't get over the fact. Can you imagine it? These people lived there for 60 years and never once went out with a lawnmower. Never put insecticide there. They have a well. And can you imagine the energy, the relaxation, all these accumulate for 60 years? They didn't have to get up and Saturday morning and say, God, if I don't cut the lawn, my neighbors are going to be down my back. Next slide. This is the front yard. When onions get to be $29 a pound, this is what we'll all have in our front yard. Now you say, well, no, God, I hope he doesn't live next to me. But think about it. This is very sophisticated gardening. All you need here from the road is a little hedge. A few wonderful shrubs. Next slide. Oh, yes. Yes. Is this a hay field or is it a lawn? Notice the modest house. Now, I think this is a mown. See, it looks like a mown lawn. It's green. I don't think they put any insecticide on it. However, I had a lawn near me and it was so perfect that you just know it's been fed with all kinds of things to it fairly well. But just think about this. Can you imagine your worldview of thinking of, or unless you're a male. If you're a male, that's an entirely different matter. This week, 10th of May, I saw a man on his $10,000 tractor. So I said, oh, it's the first cutting. The lawn is covered with dandelion seeds. Next slide. The most wonderful dandelion year. The magnolias were breathtaking. The daffodils lasted forever. But magnificent everywhere you look. Dandelions.
Sorry. It's scarce.
Oh, yes. Ah, yes. This drives me crazy. Kills over 200 weeds. That's species. That's not individually. And you think to yourself, oh, now wait a minute. What kind of a, you know how varied the world of plants is? What kind of a chemical would kill all those weeds? Well, there it is. Incidentally, it takes 15 years for this to reach, 30 years for everything you put on your lawn to reach your well. It takes 300 years for it to reach the underground aquifer. Okay? So, think about it. I've never tested my water, but of course I don't use these kind of things. Next slide. Okay, here's the typical. This you think of as subdivision, but it's sort of it. There's the house, there's the garage, and there's a patio now in current world. It's a patio. The garage is not, the porch is not, that's sort of past that, even though there are more porches than next. And this is my suggestion. This is my suggestion for male lawn people. 10 feet in front along the road, the finest Rhode Island bent grass, the absolute finest lawn in the neighborhood. There are more people begging to have this magnificent lawn, and and there it is, just 10 feet. And you could poison it to death, but at least it's only 10 feet deep. Now just think about it, get up in the morning, go out 15 minutes, you mow the lawn. 5 minutes, you brushed it off if you wanted to get rid of the clippings, whatever. Then a little something, a little hedge, right? Still a peekaboo with the magnificent house, and then some trees. And then maybe the peekaboo sneaks in from the side and becoming very interested in hiding garage and house and cars and all the other accumulation in the front of a house, hiding it from the people who live there. Next slide.
You have to go faster.
Okay. Okay, that's, this is more of the same. This is really the peekaboo, more lawn, street trees, and a little, could be shrubs, could be small trees of which there are all kinds, dogwoods and magnolias and crabs and what have you. And then a little, you don't see the whole house. Every piece of architecture, every piece of man-made structures benefits from greenery. Why? Because the house is static. You could look at your house for 30 years, and there it is. It changes daily depending on its orientation in the sun. However, take this and throw some shade on it. Throw a little filigree of foliage. Have some green here and there. A little tree on the front. Still the peak. Here is this idea of, now I've got a place. Come out of your garage, you walk in, a little paved spot, a bench, and here a trellis. And here a little hedge, and 2 little trees. So that's a little something in the front yard. To make it, well, imagine, you're paying taxes on. I'm sorry, this is the backyard. That comes later. Front yard.
Oh, I thought you were through with the front yard.
No, okay. So anyway, the front yard is the whole idea of a little something for you and your guests to come to, even though so many people go through their house, I can't imagine it, in order to get to their house, they go through the garage. Anyway, this is an attempt to have some little sweetness, still reducing the amount of lawn. Next slide. This is my idea of, which I'll develop later, my idea of the garden for people. Next slide. Now this is a house, patio, garage. I'm going to fire you. Here it is. Now see what I mean? A little bit of filigree, a little mystery, right?
This is not my day job.
Changing all year long, changing every moment of the day, every season, something's happening. And incidentally, notice it's a pretty terrible lawn. I think that's Lily in the Valley back there. But you get you're not looking in this house. You're looking at the natural world. That's what you see. See the size of the roof? This reminds me of the ballet theater at Saratoga. Down comes the string, and now, in back of it, in front of it, are the dancers. But this is the idea, right? This scrim, this softening, this hint that something lies behind. And what it adds to it, it is a spring, right? Next slide. Here's the house. That's the garage, I think, back there. But this is a house, there's a mound in front of it. See the mound? And it has the dogwood, and then, yes, the newest thing in the culture of home, the solar panel. But it's an interesting idea. Notice, this happens to be in the backwoods ways. But notice just a natural, you could let that go, who knows what will grow there. It could be just absolutely wonderful. Keep in mind that birds come here too, right? Birds come. I heard tweet to eat. I said, what could it possibly be? Baltimore oil. And living near my house. Here again, very busy street. Older house. And rhododendrons. Next slide. But the porch. You can go out and sit on the porch and only hear the world going by. You don't have to be concerned with what's happening. You are on your porch with open air, and you don't have to be concerned with what you might be missing that's passing down. Next slide. So that was the side. This is my introduction to the idea of a garden for people. This is not a garden. And this is sky. When I gave a lecture at the university many years ago, I mentioned my favorite quote, which I think I may have purloined it from a famous landscape architect, but I always thought it was mine. Garden making is sky making. There's sky here, but you haven't made sky. You haven't given it proportion. You haven't made it intimate. You haven't created a space. Next slide. That's the next slide?
Yeah.
Well, we'll break up. Well, to put it on, I'll give you my thoughts on it. Many of the things I'm talking about today
I don't know what that is.
have two sides.
No, I'm doing this over here. Yeah. I could.
Everything has two sides, including my garden for people. If you have a trellis and you're sitting there, you have the trellis, right? On the other side is another side of the trellis where you could grow tomatoes. Well, who knows what? Walk around your garden and do garden for people. You walk around it, right? Lovely. If this is another contemporary cultural flaw. Imagine now if you lived next to me and you put this along my property line. You have made an enemy for life. I can't grow Parthenocissus vine on it. I might not be able to paint it, but you can bet your life it will be painted. But this is the kind, and the other question is, why the whole property line? Are we dogs? We have to mark, this is where I own. So anyway, and the funny thing about this, I've often thought about how I would take one down because next to me. These fences must be perfectly flat. If the contour changes, the fence must step down. Right? You can't bend it down, it's only held a little bit. And every year I look at the fence and invariably. So anyway, the idea that if you put up a fence or a row of conifers, a row of spruce trees or arborvitae, and I'm on the other side, well, that limits my world. Could it be that your arborvitae are going to cast a shadow? Could it be that your arborvitae are going to sap the ground underneath so that I can't grow them? You see what I mean? So in other words, there's an ethic here in the landscape. Next slide. The sky.
Thank you.
Next slide.
Okay.
Yes. A little hut. Could be a hut, could be a grapevine, could be a canvas. Popular today are these things you see at the big stores, the canvas-covered places. But the idea is that you go to it. Huh? Could be open on two sides. and you must be aware of the light. How will this space be lighted? How will the sky be patterned by your foliage and so forth? Next slide. Ah, yes, there's the Chinese macchia. I look up at this and I think, isn't that beautiful? Now, can you imagine, right? You've got your little space, you're looking up, and here is this thing making sky. You get it? All of a sudden there is sky, and here this wonderful light and this pattern made by the macchia. Next slide. Oh. An umbrella sort of hints at a space, but this space bleeds, right? This space is very large. This is not intimate. And it's obvious a place to share with other people. You always want to remember about your garden made for people. It's yours. Right? You don't want to think of it as we're going to have a party or a wedding or all those things. That'll be cute. It's yours. It's a private little sweetness. Next slide. How are we doing on time, dear?
You're halfway through.
Oh, good. Here's a trellis. Remember my idea about two sides. There's something on the other side, right? There's a brick deck or something. And here's a little garden on this side. The beauty of the trellis is that you could have it covered in 2 years with a vine. It's the simplest thing in the world to do, a vine on a trellis. Could be a lattice work. It would be nice to be sitting in the shade of something, some kind of building, and you would have this light coming through the lattice work. But I think that's an important principle. Two sides of everything. Street side, your house. Your house, other side, is the street. And on that street, on the other side of the street, is the neighbor that you have looked at for 35 years. There is nothing more to see. And you may not be very happy with what they're doing. So what do you do with it? You foil it. Killing two birds with one stone, flattering your house and hiding, softening your neighbors. Next slide.
That's the next slide.
Oh.
There were two of those.
Oh.
This is the same trellis.
This is James Rose, 1959. See the air conditioning? And the asphalt shingles. What is sweet about this is there is no deck. And notice that the house is foiled. You're not sitting up against the house. It doesn't dominate. There's a tree, there's pavement, there's some shrubs, there's an evergreen, there's your little chair. This is the back door, apparently. And there is the elements of a garden. Simple elements of a garden. Next slide. A little space, I love it. It has this little quirk, right? This little gate and pavement and vines and little hints of human aspects, pots and what have you. Next slide. This is a religious structure, but I put it there just to show you, God, there are thousands and thousands of ways of putting some kind of structure in the landscape. Look what the light does, right? It's just, next slide. Parthenocissus vine, creeping vine, can cover the wall in no time. It does something that most valuable plants do. Turns color in the fall, has berries, creeps up the wall, shingles down. Next slide. Again, this I think is wisteria. But if you had a little outback building, a little shed, a little studio, a little this, a little that, little trellis and vine around. You've transformed the man-made by adding a little bit of green. Next slide. Our poplar tree in late fall. That's the mountain behind us. And another thought about what some plants do. You can imagine this in light from the east, light from the west, behind it, and glowing, and just absolutely beautiful. Next slide. I put this hydrangea in here for two purposes. Notice how a short hydrangea softens the road. See, almost over here. Look, there's the road, there's the hydrangea. Why are hydrangeas interesting? Well, because today there have to be 50 different clones, from here to here to here to here, all different, big bowl, pink bowl, and next slide. My favorite, right here. This is the name. Hydrangea.
It's a lace cut. It looks like blue
It-
willow.
it- it-
It's a native, it's a native,
It's a native of
viburnum.
but it's a clone. It's named after someone who discovered it. Absolutely beautiful. Oh, I can't tell you how beautiful. Next slide. Now, you remember me mentioning Olmsted and his blindness, near blindness from sumac. Well, here is sumac. This is sumac glabra. It is not poisonous. If you're the kind of person who is prejudiced, and when you mention sumac, you automatically think, oh, sumac. Recognizing there are probably 10 species of sumac that are absolutely fantastic plants of all sizes, and there's a few that are poisonous. So you gotta leap over your quick first-person thoughts and discounts. Sumac glabra. To my surprise, this is root propagated. It's representative of a whole group of magnificent plants that have a drawback. It's late to leaf, and it is rhizomaceous and invasive. However, if you had an island out in your 3 acres of grass, and you went around it with the lawnmower, you could very easily keep it. So there it is, and oh, male and female, this is a male. Next slide. Just the most beautiful thing you could ever lay eyes on. Oh, look at the leaves. But, there again, a shrub with so many possibilities. And even with its distractions, it's just this is so wonderful. Next one. This is smooth sumac. To my surprise, occurs in every state, every contiguous state in the United States, which surprises me. Now, if I tried to sell this, I did. I sold one in a lifetime, 40 years. I've taken I don't know how many people down the church. And, but you know, there's that blind, sumac. Our native sumac, Tifana, staghorn, gets to be very tall. It's rather clumsy. Huh? But you can eat it, and you can eat the glabra berries also. And then there's Bruce aromatica, like this fantastic ground cover. Does the same thing, turns these most wonderful colors. Oh my, there it is in winter. Yes. Oh. Same thing, viburnum's big family. It's wonderful when it's blooming. Next slide. There it is with its early seed, with Solomon seal in front. Next slide. Oh, bamboo. Just past the bamboo. There it is in fruit. And finally, I don't think I have a slide, but it will turn purple. The leaves will turn purple in the fall. Next slide. There again, out of sync is that same slide, but it's worth seeing twice. Perennial garden. Notice I have not mentioned perennials or annuals in any of this. Yes, they are. They're a little detail, a little enrichment. Next slide. I had a thought slip my mind. Geranium. This is Cranesville geranium. It's not the pelargonium of the annual red flower. God, there has to be 150 clones of this plant. Durable, aggressive. It's a ground cover. You will not get many weeds coming up through this. Again, flowers, all different colors, white, this, that. And in the fall, totally purple. Beautiful. Solomon's seal, I've been places where the person that planted them is long dead. This is the only thing that survives, an island of Solomon's seal. So for the person who is not a gardener, or a person who is older and doesn't garden like they used to, Solomon's seal. One stem in a glass vase, magnificent. Next slide. Farmer gave this to me 30 years ago. What do I say? Not Staghorn. Staghorn fruit?
No.
Ostrich. And when he gave it to me, he said, oh, very invasive. Well, you know, after 30 years, and that's what it looks like today, I think, my God, that is so. And nothing. That just keeps on growing and spreading, and that's every year going and going. So that's a perennial. You don't have to be a gardener. All you got to do is plant it. You aren't even careful. Next slide. There are a lot of other big perennials. This happens to be Sun King Aurelia. Big plant. Powerful. Coming up through ferns. Just big, powerful, year after year after year. Big, powerful, wonderful plants. Next slide. Now, this is a collection of what I call grace notes. Your little personal thing that maybe you're the only one in the world that thinks it's so wonderful. Right? Grace notes. There we go. I want you to think about these at different times of days, different locations. Looking out your kitchen window, the snow has fallen. Next slide. Oh, yes. Old disc from a tractor and some succulents. Oh, and this, next slide, this breathtaking, a little piece of victory. Isn't it wonderful? Look at that bird. And then, of course, there is a range of succulents. Next slide. Hoster, another plant. Daylilies, another. Just go on and on and on. Oh, yes. This is what I call whim. You know, you can't look at it without smiling. You kind of think, now is he out there with 4 glasses of whiskey and he's looking around and picking it up? Today I'm going to do 2. And they're going to be different. You know, this is just a personal whim in a garden. Next slide. Ah, yes. Imagine this is outside our kitchen window. Imagine this when the snow comes. Every year the flycatcher comes, and then you look out the window in the morning and you look out when it rains, and there it is, and it's just wonderful. Next slide. Oh, there it is. And this is a piece of sculpture I had made in steel. It was made for another purpose. But there it is, see, right close to the road. And elevated, considerably elevated. Next slide. Ah, yes, a bumper from a early automobile. Next slide. Ah, yes. Dennis Sullivan and Georgia. That's their collection of 3 or 4 Magnolia Dr. Merrill. This is what I call the gift. They're not his trees, they're my trees. When I pass, they're mine. Tax day, April 15th, if there's no frost, they're my trees. This is a gift. See, he has given the public a gift. And at the same time, foiled his house. You don't even know what his house is. unfortunately, has an attached garage. Next question, next slide. And my daffodils, the whole row of them, my gift, was my gift to the spring. Next slide. And Kuzador wood in a church in Rhinebeck. Can you imagine it, huh? Whoever thought of planting that plant there? Everybody drives by. Fruit, raspberries, after. But this is not flower, this is calyx. These are leaves. The flowers are tiny, tiny little centipedes. Raspberries, edible raspberries afterwards. And then a magnificent fall color. And then these waterfall of branches. I've done these for funerals. Gads of them. And they hold up beautifully. Just absolutely. So that's the idea of the public. What can happen to my lawn? See? When can my lawn be more than a surface that supposedly flatters my house, which is of no interest? Olmsted's crooked roads, see, you have horse and buggy. You drove along and house. Get the idea? Now, with our straight streets, you're looking house. I didn't mention, or how did I not mention this? Why is the house not worth looking at? Because today, you have a 1-car, 2-car, 3-car garage, and perhaps 2 detached garages. That's 5 garages. You may have 3 automobiles, a boat, a basketball backstop, several recycling bins in front, and maybe a recreational vehicle parked just off the side, tucked in all winter long by the side of the garage. In the same sense, across the street, maybe your neighbor has 2 pallets of bricks waiting for him to put the patio in, and he too has 3 cars. You know, the woman is working, husband is working, teenagers are driving automobiles. So, think about that. You've devoted, when you have a 3-car garage, you've devoted a third of your house to the garage. Now, you know, that's what we're supposed to look at. See what I'm saying? Next slide. Final slide. Thank you. Thoughts, questions? Dumbfounded? Where did you come up with it?
I do have a question. When you introduced Fred Olmsted, you mentioned that part of his one of the specs of his design was no garden. I think I heard you say.
That's correct.
And could you explain that?
Well, the idea was this is private, taxed land, a private park, weaving through like a ribbon. We don't want this one doing this one, this one doing this one, and this one doing that one. Right? No fences, right? So this is a whole world view, a whole philosophy. In that environment of the dying city with their tenements and their migrants and their this and their that and their old streets and their sewer and out into the potato fields. The Canada sample had 1 apple tree, guaranteed because of the apple orchard. 1 apple tree per house. But you get the idea, everything has a time. Where you mentioned the solar things on the roof, right? The white fence. Some people, I didn't take a picture, I thought it would be too much. They have this little white fence, $1.89 white fence out in front there. I don't know, is it mark the driveway or what? It's not a fence, it's a white piece of plastic that sits there. And you kind of wonder, what is it doing? All these are a function of the times we live in and what happened in the past.
one of the Umstead Brother Design community before I moved up to Albany. That is in Baltimore. So the whole community was built before 1925.
Which one was it? Green
It's
some-
Homeland.
What?
Homeland. The
Homeland.
community called Homeland.
Yes, there were two of them too. There was a
There are
group.
three.
There's
Yeah,
three.
yeah. There another one was
Yes,
built in
yes,
late
yes.
1890. That's where they
Yes,
garage.
yes.
No, not garage. Horse. What is that? Horse carriage.
Oh,
yes,
That's
yes,
the carriage
yes.
house.
Yes.
The oldest one has carriage house, and
Yes,
then
yes.
there's another one is old mansion, very big house, and Homeland is the third one, is more like middle
Yes,
class.
yes.
But I think the way you explained it is correct, that they bypass, if there's a pond, they save the pond, it's
Yes,
a big
yes.
tree, and then so the road is like that,
Yes,
you know,
yes.
going around with the nature, they keep it.
Yes.
And I agree that front yard is usually smaller, and then the back yard it's larger, and
Yes.
we have covenant that we have to sign.
Uh-huh.
That's covenant is based on
Yeah.
1935.
Yes.
If you're gonna change the roof, usually our roof
Yes,
are,
yes.
our roof was stone, slate,
Yes. Yes, yes.
and then wood, brick, and stone. That's
Yes.
all the material.
Yes, yes.
But if you're gonna make any changes, you submit
That's right.
application
Yes.
for the Homeland Association to
Yeah.
approve. If you're gonna change your door color, if you're gonna paint your house, you need permission, and you talk to your neighbor to see if they like that color. And if they reject the color, then you negotiate.
Yes.
But changing the window, changing the shutters, you all need approval, and that's why that community is
Yes.
just so beautiful.
Yes, yes. I called it mandate. He mandated trees. He mandated nothing on the front lawn.
And they don't, I think the people have dog, right, so they want a fence.
That's
So
right.
the fence has to be set back
Yes,
from
yes.
8 feet from the street.
Yes,
And
yes.
based on how big your dog is, you cannot just raise the fence
Ah,
tall.
yeah.
If your dog is small, you don't need a big fence, so otherwise the association. So I think a lot of the young people, they just say, it's my house, why, you know.
Yeah, yes, yes, of course.
But they don't realize the value, the beauty
Yeah, yes.
of the community
Sure.
until maybe a few years later that they realize how beautiful that community is.
Yes.
Just because there's a covenant, and you have to restrain
Yeah.
your creativity or
So that gets back to the homestead idea, the question you asked. What would happen if this roof had shingle, this roof slate, this one maybe, heaven forbid, steel, contemporary steel, you know, I mean, it's the whole thing. It's a public
Yeah.
sharing. And it sounds dictatorial, but there's a lot to be gained from it.
Yeah, I agree. The community was really beautiful. Yeah, I think to comply with the shelter, it was expensive to buy the shelter with the rumor that you can
Yes, yes.
can move. We have to go to Amish County to have it made. It was really expensive, and it's operable. You know, you can close it.
Yes, yes.
So no light comes in, and then you
Yes.
open up. You have the hook that
Yes,
you can
yes.
hook up. So I think it's just maintain the integrity of the house that is in
Yes, yes.
1925.
Yeah.
That's what it
Yeah.
is. Yeah, it's beautiful. The Washington Park in Albany that was built by Umstead Brothers.
That was,
Umstead Brothers.
I don't
design.
think so.
You know?
say that again?
Washington
Park, I don't think it was.
Homestead?
Yeah.
No, no, no.
Oh no. Okay.
Politics.
No,
And Olmsted was probably expensive. He designed 6,200 projects. Mardell worked for the Olmsted office. It was the third generation.
Oh, so you know it's not.
So no, I checked that once and but it has the Olmsted's touch, right?
Okay, so it's
The-
not.
yeah,
Okay.
the boathouse, the curved streets.
Right, it went along with his theory. I
Should
mean,
I
he
get-
did the green necklace in Boston, you know, and all of that. I mean, he did some really great things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he believed in open space and
Natural.
Yeah, natural.
garden, botanical garden cemeteries,
Yeah.
big thing.
Which one?
Cemeteries,
Yeah, which
botanical collections of trees and so forth. And he probably had a plan just like this for the cemetery too.
He designed cemetery too?
Oh, yes.
Oh,
Capital of the United States, various state, I mean, he went on and on and on and on. It's huge. And I think his brother was involved. And then I know the son was involved. But his story is just, I keep thinking he must have been a Presbyterian. You know, he just had that, I don't know, hopeful, whatever. It just, that's what it reminds me of. If I checked it out, he may have been a Congregationalist, but I think Presbyterian. And I don't think it's in this book. But did I say enough about the American porch?
No.
Wonderful. Absolutely. Ties it to the movies, ties it to Axis, checks its origin in Jamaica and what they do in Venice and how they used it in Spain and how it was an important part of the African village and on and on. But erudite, I mean, it is just, he also did a porch in Washington, D.C.
So
But
that
this
was
is-
the Upstate Brothers book too?
This one is the Dolan is but what a read. The only thing I think it lacks an index. But even his write-up of the people that he, no, it does, you know, he has a bibliography, not an index. But even his experience with the various people around the world that he talked to, I remember one case, he was in a feudal estate, still feudal, and tourists, 20,000 tourists a year. So he asked the owner, well, what do you think about the tourists? He said, oh, they're so stupid. Well, give me an example. Well, someone came once and said, how come you don't cut the grass like the English do? See, there's the comedy. The English had slaves out there with a scythe and sheep. The lawnmower came. Well, I appreciate all of you coming, believe me.
Thank you.
Thank you.